All right. 안녕하세요, 여러분, and welcome to KaiTalks Series 1. As we mentioned before, KaiTalks is a collaborative initiative between KISA and KaiTech, in which alum and notable internship holders will regularly talk about their unique experiences and how it helped them to get where they are right now. Our first series is featuring CS and Tech. However, as the series continue, we will be having numerous speakers from different departments commenting on the industrial applicability of the respective fields. And now, without further ado, I will just leave the introduction of the speakers to the speakers themselves. And once again, welcome to Kai Talks, and we hope you have a very insightful session. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you, Taha. And yeah, let's wait for screen sharing. So, yep. Can you see the slides or no? Okay, let's wait. Let's wait. I guess there are some technical issues. Yeah. So I think okay. Yeah, I can share. So
Anwar, you can continue.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I see. Oh, okay, cool. So let me introduce myself. My name is Anwar, and I'm president of the student-run organization called KaiTech. Our organization is main mission is to provide students with knowledge about CS and career in tech. So we have collaborated with KISA to make this series, and this is like our pilot episode, I would say. I'm really excited about this. So to introduce myself, in my high school, I was interested in computer science and had some competitive programming background. It's like when you solve algorithmic problems in a limited time and try to score as many points as you can. So after that, I was admitted into KAIST in 2016, and basically I was first into competitive programming, but then I switched into software engineering, which I involved with. So at the end of my second year, I had internship at an AI startup called Scatter Labs during the summer, and the subsequent internship was also there during the winter. My last industry internship was at Google Korea, where I worked in Google search team. And as for other experiences, I was also fortunate enough to be a teaching assistant for one of the courses in KAIST. I think it's course is called Introduction to Algorithms. And in my last semesters, I was a research assistant at Visual Computing Lab at KAIST under the guidance of Professor Min-Hyuk Kim. And I recently basically graduated from KAIST and soon will enter into the workforce. Yeah, that's all for my introduction.
Thank you, Anwar. Can you open the next slide?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's Wuhan's time to introduce herself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Wuhan.
Nice to meet you, everyone. I think the slide has changed. Yeah, nice to meet you. My name is Uyeon Han, and currently I'm a software engineer in Google, and I'm working in Android and Pixel camera team. And I joined like 3 weeks ago. I recently graduated from KAIST on February, and I have several internship experience. My first internship experience was in a small startup called Level Up, and then I also had 2 internship experiences in Google. And after those internships, I went through the procedure to process with the conversion from the internship to from an intern to a full-time employee. And so now I have joined the team. And for those 2 internship experience, for the first one, I worked on Android and Pixel camera team, which is the team I am working right now. And for the second one, I was in the TensorFlow Extended, which is also called TFX team. And also, during my bachelor degree study at KAIST, I had an internship experience in visual computing lab. Like Anwar did, I also was guided by Professor Binyak Kim. So yeah, this was introduction of myself. And yeah, nice to meet you.
All right, Bivan, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bivan. Currently, I am the machine learning engineer in Shopee, Singapore, specifically in search team. And previously, before I came to Singapore, I was the research engineer in Matpresso, one of the startup company in Seoul. And I was graduated from KAIST, actually bachelor in 2017, computer science with minor in mathematics, and also graduated master in computer science also in 2019. And during my master degree, like I was graduate student research assistant in NME lab, supervised by Professor Jo Song Ho. At that time, like I was researching about the explainable AI and how can we integrate those explainable AI techniques into the real application. And during the undergraduate, I was fortunate enough to join the URP program, like under Professor Shinyu. And the research topic is mainly about homomorphic encryption. And yeah, that's all from me.
All right, Azrat.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Can you update the slide, please? Like, exit the presentation mode and enter again. Yes. I just added one small detail. So, hello, everyone. My name is Azret. I am junior at KAIST. I have previously interned at Yelp and Skelter Labs as well, the company where Anwar also interned. We interned at the same time, basically. So from high school, I have a bit of competitive programming experience. I am an incoming software engineering intern at Palantir this summer. And I was once rejected from tutoring program for intro to programming, just to add a small detail. I'll be graduating in 2022. Yep. That's like very shortly about me. So we can proceed to actual slides and sharing experience part. Or
Okay.
Anwar, can you
All
proceed?
right.
Yeah.
Anwar,
So, yeah, thank you. And let me start first of all that with a kind of motivational speech that university provides a lot of opportunities to students And actually, like when I graduated, I just realized that how many opportunities we have during our years, and that I regretted a bit that like I was not introduced to this so some of these opportunities. But fortunately, we are hosting this talk, so I hope that you will get more than me in this sense. So like there's a lot of opportunities in a sense that you can like go to industry internships, you can go to research internships, especially in KAIST, because KAIST is a research-based university. You can do teaching assistants, you can go to student programs, receive scholarships, go to conferences, attend hackathons, workshops, this tech talks as well, and just the list goes on. So yeah, next slide. Yeah, so yeah, right now I'll talk mostly about internships. So basically, like if you want as cue the title of this talk, like how to start a software engineering career, software engineers, especially like in the workforce, are more focused on your past experience. So internships are a great way to build that foundation during your university years. And basically, like when you like first hear about internships, you might question like what I want to do and how to get internships, and it might be a bit daunting to do. First, maybe you should, for example, like see like what interests you. For example, if you're interested in like, for example, search engines, you should like apply to Google, apply to Yandex, or apply to Naver. Or maybe like you just like some product, I don't know, like for example, you like let's say like Apple, iPhone, Mac, and the software. It's definitely a reason to apply to these companies as well, like to Apple. And there are actually a lot of, like right now, there are like a lot of resources to track these internships. For example, here are some websites, for example, techinternship.io, AngelList. AngelList is for startups, but I have seen like big companies like Airbnb there. And also LinkedIn is also important to connect and search for jobs. Also, there are like some GitHub lists that just made by students who are also seeking internships just like you. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. So speaking about hiring process. So first of all, it's like it has 5 stages mainly, and the first one is the obviously an application on the website. You just go to the website of the company, for example, Google, and you fill in the forms. And if you are fortunate enough to have for example, acquaintance, or for example, you have alumni who works there, you can say, hey, can you please, for example, take my resume to the HR and show him, and they will definitely gonna take a look, because like in big companies like Google, Facebook, there's like a lot of applicants, and sometimes they might, I think like they spend about 30 seconds on your resume. So like if, for example, HR is in a bad mood, or just like didn't carefully review your resume, it will be thrown out. So it's definitely a good measure to take a referral from someone. After that, yeah, and if your resume is seen, then it goes through resume screening. It's basically they have their own criteria, like for example, languages, technology, or like knowledge in general. Usually like these are competitive based, so you have to kind of like compete in this pool of applicants. And if you are fortunate enough to pass the resume screening, I congratulate you, because you will be invited to the phone interview. Basically, phone interview is just an online interview where you ask questions, usually algorithmic questions, and you have to solve them. And it's actually really hard skill, because in addition to solving problems, you also have to explain at the same time. And after that, usually the 4th stage doesn't appear when you apply to the internships, but sometimes it may be the case. For example, usually fintech companies can invite you to on-site and like invite you even if you're in the other country. So for example, I had a friend and I also had received some invitations to visit some quantitative trading firm in London, and they like pay for my like hotel, pay for flight, and you just like take a tour in their office, and it's like a really great experience. Usually during on-site interviews, you just like also go through some rounds of interviews. Maybe it's behavioral, maybe it's also like online interview, like algorithmic problems, or it can be just like a culture fit, like whether you fit into this culture or not. And the last stage is usually team matching. So your candidacy is good enough, and they need to find your team because, for example, your skill set might fit into one team and might not fit into the other team. You just cannot like go. And for example, if you're applying for a backend, you cannot go, for example, to a machine learning team to be a bit of mismatch. So the company tries to match you with the team. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yep. So as I talked about referrals and networking, I would say that networking is very important. I think it's the most important thing that you have to do in the university, because when you like graduated, you just like you communicate with your coworkers, and you just don't kind of like see the diversity of people that you see in the university. So, and actually, like for example, there's a saying that loyalty is a two-way street. And I would say that referrals are a three-way street, because they like there are like three beneficiaries. First of all, it's the candidate, of course, because if you're referred, then you can get a job more likely. And referrers, the person who referred you also get a compensation. Usually, like for example, like in Facebook and Google, like they pay really a lot of money to if you refer a really qualified candidate. And also it's also a benefit for the company, because it gets a new employee and it doesn't need to like to search a lot for this candidacy. And yeah, it's that's why it's important to be in a part of community and alumni network, I would say. Next. Yeah. I think I'll give my word to B1 this time. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Anwar, for the time. Okay, so yeah, previously we talked about the internship. Now, like I will talk more about like job seeking. It's actually like more or less like the same, but there's something like fundamentally different like in here, because like usually like job seeking like yeah, usually like the first point like for us KAISTian people, like back in my time, like I didn't know like any internship experience, I'd say. And so like for me, like at the time, finding a job right after graduation is kind of like very difficult, because yeah, I have no internship experience. I only like graduated bachelor and master, like so basically like my experience is mostly research. And so like at that time I was thinking like how should I land my first job. And yeah, like basically like for those without any internship experience, like getting a job into the big company like may be difficult, but you can start off your career like in the startup company. And how can I get to know like the startup company? Like usually like it's through like this four logo that I put here. Like first one is LinkedIn. Like I think like you have been already familiar with this job application website. The second one is Wanted. This is like very popular in Korea, because like I think most of the startup companies in Korea use this application like to actually recruit people. Other than Wanted, like there is a Rocket Punch. And the third one like is Indeed. Like it's for a startup in Singapore. Like in Singapore, like they use Indeed like to also recruit the applicants. And yeah, next slide. Yeah, so I think like LinkedIn is kind of like currently very popular, like even among recruiters. Usually, like when you apply to some company, the recruiter will first of all look at your LinkedIn profile. So in order for you like to make your chance higher to get accepted, like you need to revamp your LinkedIn profile first. Like, so if you haven't done it now, if you haven't done it, do it like as soon as possible. Or yeah, don't wait until like you start applying for job, because like usually like you will forget like one or two things that you have accomplished, something like that. And also like in LinkedIn, there is this one button named apply with LinkedIn. So basically it's very easy like to use this. Just like you go into the company's job posting that you are interested in, and then if they have that button, like you can just click, and yeah, basically like you will be asked like to upload your resume, upload your data, something like that. But it will be just in one go. So one company, like after you apply, and then like the second one, third one, fourth one, like usually it's just kind of like just one single click and that's it. And yeah, LinkedIn is also like a web crawler, so you can find jobs from various websites and even create alerts when jobs are announced. So yeah, you do not need to worry about missing a chance, like because you just like simply miss out like some information, because yeah, everything is possible in LinkedIn. And the third one, like yeah, you can reach out also to recruiters, because they are inside the LinkedIn like a lot. They are very active. Yeah, they actively recruit for they actively recruit people, like. And also at the other direction, recruiters can also look at people like to be recruited into their company. And if you're lucky, like maybe they will bump into your profile, and then like they will approach to you. And if that's the case, then I think like you are given like a really good sign. Like it doesn't mean that you're getting accepted directly, but at least like you're given a chance like to do the interview and etc. Next. Yeah, also like for my job position, like it's machine learning engineer. And yeah, apparently like machine learning currently is very high, very popular, and people are kind of like wondering like if studying in the university is enough like to make you prepared for the industry world. And my simple answer is actually not really. Because like there are lots of things that hasn't been taught in university, but actually it's a common thing in industry. So that's why like for this kind of thing, like internship is very important if you want to successfully land a job. So what is the difference actually like between machine learning in industry and also in academia? So in industry, like other than training, validating and fine tuning your model, like you also need to think like about the data pre-processing, because usually the data the data that you need to use is the data from the company. And usually like it's quite dirty like compared to the already pre-processed one like CFAR10 or something like that. So like because of this, like data engineering skills is very important. Like if you know Hadoop, Spark, Flink, something like that, like it's very important to know. And it will be very beneficial like if you already have this set of knowledge, so that like the recruiter will have more confidence in you, and then like you will have a higher chance of being accepted. Although like let's say in my case, like when I applied to Shopee, like I didn't know anything about this data engineering skills. So yeah, they didn't also expect me like to know. And so like during my first few weeks in Shopee, like I was being trained on how to actually do this data engineering skills. Yeah, and also like yeah, in academia, like you will be focused on paper. Also in industry, like sometimes you need to read paper, because most of the machine learning area is actually that not that fixed yet. Like people are lots of people are actually like researching on it. Like Google, I think they have like lots of research papers regarding this field. So both of the industry and academia work like actually they read papers, but the difference is in here, like you do not really need to invent any novel idea. You just need like to read the paper and then like see like if the methods applied within that paper is actually applicable for the company's benefit. For example, like in Shopee, let's say like I mostly read about NLP paper, and I will assess whether like this NLP paper can be used like to better like service, the search service like in Shopee application, something like that. Even though like some companies like also aims to publish paper in machine learning, like Google, Facebook. Yeah, I think like they also have this special team like to actually publish paper, but actually like those companies are actually usually a big company. And yeah, that's actually like all like the difference between industry and academia. In academia, like the aim is actually like to publish a paper, something like that. Next. So in this chance, like I will kind of explain to you like how it is like to be a machine learning engineer or scientist in industry, like because like there are actually a wide range of positions only in machine learning, like in lots of software engineering industry these days. But usually like those jobs are divided into two parts. Like the first one is engineering and the second one is scientist. What's the difference in here? For engineering position, like they focus more on like whether like your code is deployable to production, and then like how do you immerse like the model that you have built into the production line, something like that. So like usually like they do not really require you like to have the ability to read paper, even though like if you have the ability for that, like it will be much preferred. And so like they usually require at least a bachelor's degree. Usually like if you have master degree, like it will be very much preferable. But yeah, I think most of them like bachelor degree is okay. But this is like with a side note that even if you're only like having a bachelor degree, but you need to have some kind of side projects like that involves machine learning utilization, like let's say joining Kaggle competition or something like that. Like it will be very much useful. That's for the engineering position. The next one is for the scientist position. Because like their aim is to publish a paper and to actually contribute to society by innovating some pattern or something like that. Usually like they require like PhD degree, although like some companies also allow master degree holder as well. Yeah, I remember like for Google, in machine learning engineer, like you need to have like PhD degree for that one. Yeah, they also focus on paper publication, and I think like this paper publication thingy, like PhD degree holder like has a uh, really much experience in that, and so like I think that's why they prefer PhD. Next. Yeah, so let's say like you're interested in becoming a machine learning engineer and you successfully get your resume passed through HR, and then like they call you for the interview. You need to expect that you will be asked about some machine learning related questions to assess your skills in this field. And yeah, there are like several types of questions that you may need to be aware of. The first one is theory, in which like, yeah, usually it's kind of like if you have attended the machine learning lecture in your university, yeah, in this regard, like in KAIST, and yeah, you pay attention to the professor and then like you get good grades. I think like this one like will be easy peasy for you, because I usually like the question is so simple, like yeah, I remember last time like I was being asked like what is L1 regularization, what is L2, and why do you prefer one over the other, something like that. Yeah, that's actually like some basic theory questions that is being taught in class. So yeah, just pay attention to the lecture. The second one is case study question. This is like usually like they will give you some case study, like it's sometimes it's very reflective towards like what the company is currently working. So yeah, they will ask you like they will give you some case, and then like you need to analyze, and then like usually the solution requires you like to utilize machine learning. In this one, like you will be assessed like how much like you understand the technology that you are using, and then like the reasoning behind your choice, something like that. So yeah, I think like for this case study question, like it's also like the good chance for you like to see what the company is currently working on, something like that. And the last one is project experience. This one like usually like they just like try to ask you what have you done in the previous times. Like at that time for me, like I was being asked like about, yeah, I need to choose like one of the machine learning project that I have done, and at the time I chose my thesis because my thesis is heavily on machine learning, something like that. And then after I explain, like they will ask like several questions, and then like you just need to answer based on that. I think like the last one is quite easy because like you have done it, that's your project, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Next. Yeah, I think like I will give it to Azret. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Divan. It was really interesting to learn about the difference between industry and academia machine learning. Yeah. So regarding the timeline, Europe and US summer internships usually open their applications in mid-August to like until late October or maybe early November. So yeah, they open it almost 1 year early. So you have to get ready before that. Definitely get ready before that. Prepare for your interviews, which I'll talk about in the next slides. Yes, and keep in mind that they mostly serve like it's first come first serve, so it's better to apply uh, as early as possible. So, for example, if you want to get into Google, like it's better to apply like, in the first days of when the application is just open. For internships in Korea, it's the application period is 1 to 3 months before the internship. So you will not find summer internship position in like in the same time as like Europe or US internships like window time. And internships in Korea are suited for mostly summer and winter breaks. In Europe and US, you can find internships which are of like half-year duration or 1 year duration even, or like you can find fall internships, spring internships sometimes. Yes, it's much more flexible in Europe and US. And for remote internships, it really depends. It's all year round. You can find different remote internship opportunities. I think Anwar added Google Summer of Code part, and there is this website Outreach, but maybe Anwar can add a bit more information about this shortly. Anwar, can you?
Oh yeah. So yeah. So Google Summer of Code is basically a program for open source internship, which basically targets students who want to contribute to some interesting open source projects. And I think some of the projects right now are, for example, big projects are TensorFlow, Dart, Julia language, and like there's a lot of projects on which you could work in. The application is still, I think, it's still open, so you can try your best to get enrolled into this program. And if you, at the end of this program, if you perform well enough, then you'll be given a stipend of, I don't know, like it depends, but mostly I think maybe from $2,000 to $4,000, depending on the country. And there's also a program called Outreachy, and frankly speaking, I don't know much about it, but it's also targeting students who are underrepresented in the tech scene. So if you are, like, I would say, a minority, then I would also suggest you to apply to this program as well. So yeah, that's it. You can continue as it.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a website where you could find only like remote internships. I just forgot the name of it. Maybe you can Google it. So can you open the next slide? Yes. So I'll talk about a bit about resumes. So what's the best way of writing your resume? Okay, first is maintain a certain structure. Like I have seen not so many, but like several dozens, maybe several dozens of resumes, and like good resumes definitely follow this this structure, which is education. If you're a recent graduate or current student, then first you include your education, then experience, then projects, and then achievements if you have, like ICPC achievements or Google Code Gem, good achievements, or maybe Kaggle if you are machine learning engineer. Probably you need to include publications if you are ML engineer or researcher. Maybe Bivan can confirm that. Also include your GPA if it's good. Otherwise, like, it's not required. Personally, I have a terrible GPA. I almost don't study in KAIST. Yeah, it's not required by my 95 or maybe 99% of companies. Only like healthcare industry, banking industry, investment banks, more conservative industries, they require GPAs, others don't. Definitely adjust your CV for the role if you have much experience, and use this template. Like try to tell a story in each of your bullet points about your experience. Don't just say developed X or I did X, or this my company where I worked at like does this. It's all meaningless. Try to tell a story and use a certain pattern, which is accomplishment, impact, and challenge. Like I included this example, like developed. You can see it on the screen. Developed a server-side layout engine in iOS by teaching myself Golang. So this is kind of achievement. Then what is the impact of it? Automated 1,000 plus antiquated manual layouts. This is the impact part, and there is the challenge part, which is this began as an ambiguous project that I drove to completion and launched company-wide. So, so you just have to tell a certain story. Like you have to tell. You have to show your achievements in a way that people will buy into. Like, don't just write. Don't just write it as if recruiter will understand everything. Recruiters don't. And I wanted to add a short note about LinkedIn. Like definitely work a lot on your LinkedIn, because I heard from very experienced HRs that they only use LinkedIn. They almost don't use any other platform. Like 95, like maybe more than 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn, nothing else. So put experience, like put descriptions, make a good bio about part. Like try to work as much as possible on your LinkedIn, add the relevant skills. I think Anwar mentioned, right? Anwar mentioned about or Vivan mentioned about LinkedIn, profile matching part. So it really helps, like if your profile matches the job description, recruiters need every possible, check mark to just accept you. So work as much as possible on it. I'll share my screen just to show one more thing about resumes. Yeah, so this is a platform called Overleaf. I recommend using LaTeX for your CVs. So yeah, this is how it looks like, and you can, like, here you can start a new project. You can pick the resume, CV from there. You can like choose from lots of the different templates there. I think
just a second.
I chose.
Okay, so like if you go to the view options, like on the top of the Zoom, there's like share screens, and you just need to click Azret Kinjalif to view what he shares right now. Can host do it?
Can I somehow pin my?
Oh yeah. It's yours. The stage is yours now.
Okay, good. So I really recommend using LaTeX for this, for writing your CV. Like definitely learn LaTeX. It's quite straightforward, and yeah, this is how just the usual resume would look like. So you put your name on the top. Never put your picture or anything there. Just very simple. Put your name, put your education. By the way, expected graduation is not really required. You can, like, if you want, you can, ignore this part. I included. So in the education part, you include coursework, experience. You just state your like work, describe your work which you did at those companies. Try to tell a story, and for the technologies part, like tools, the technical tools which you use, try to put them like try to put them in the end of your bullet points, like to show for this bit of work, you use these technologies. It will be much more credible for recruiters to see that, or for engineering managers which will be reading your CVs, to see that you use these particular technologies at these instances. Like I have seen some CVs and seen some advice that, it's not really good to list your skills just in a different section, like put here, for example, skills, and list just a bunch of languages and bunch of tools, because it doesn't tell anything. Like, okay, where did he use that, and where, like in what context, and how much did he use them. But for example, here you can see, okay, he worked there like half a year, and he used this technology there, so probably he has, lots of experience, like not lots of experience, like half year of experience with this technology, so they can, estimate your level of technical proficiency better. Yeah, so this is how you put experience. Usually you follow either you sort them by relevancy, or you sort them by, by timeline. So I sorted my experience by timeline. I think I think in my case, it perfectly aligns with relevancy and So the next bit is projects. I definitely recommend doing good side projects to land your first internship. But thanks to KAIST, KAIST is really credible university, so it will be much easier for you to land your first internship in Korea. But general rule of thumb, every bit of increasing your chances matters. So do side projects if you don't have any experience. Yeah, I have put some projects, and first I put a description of this project, and then I put what I did for this project, what was my role in this project. Because in KAIST you do a lot of group projects, so it's best to put what you did there, because these are not only my personal projects, these are group projects. Yeah, and in the end you put some achievements. Also, like one person at Google, which has like 10 years of experience, he said, you can add some activities part, which will be, which you can use after, then as a icebreaker, or you can use this for an interviewer to find some ground for talking. But generally keep your CV to one page only. I very rarely I add this part. Usually I strip this part and just leave the first page. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. I'm sorry for talking a lot about CVs, but this is really important. So interview preparation. This is also super important part. Most of your time will be taken by interview preparation. So first, I advise you to start, watching these videos on interviewing.io. Just look at how the interviews are conducted. What is the interview in itself? There are different interviews. Firstly, you have two types of interviews. The first is technical interview. The second is behavioral interview. And for the algorithmic interview, you need to know algorithms and data structures. You have to solve, lots of algorithmic problems to prepare, and not only that. I'll talk about that shortly. And for the behavioral part, mostly you have to prepare for a bunch of different psychological questions and psychological tricks. This is the gist of those interviews. So first, start by watching the recordings of good interviews. You will understand the format. The format is usually 40 to 60 minutes. You have to solve 2 or 3 questions. You have to describe your solutions well, and you have to communicate properly with your interviewer. You have to code your solution, possibly without any bugs, without major hints for the solution. Lots of different metrics are used to check your how well you did on your interview. You can find them. So again, I switched to screen sharing. So let me show you. So I have included this link as well. So you can use this cheat sheet, for example. There is a lot of advice here. what you should do before interview, how you should introduce yourself, what you should do when you receive the coding question, what you should do when you're coding, and what you should do after you finish coding, like such as test your code and talk about time complexity, space complexity, which are like how much your solution used memory and time for the solution, how you should wrap up the interview, what questions you should ask from your interviewer. There is a lot of nuances which you should read about on those resources. So, okay, can we switch again to the presentation mode? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I definitely recommend reading through and like practicing and memorizing the interview checklist on the website, which I showed. It is like in the second bullet point. Also, I really recommend reading through Cracking the Coding Interview book, at least the first 8 chapters. Solve as much problems as you can on lead code for your algorithmic interview preparation. There is a website called pram.com. You can practice mock interviews, like algorithmic, system design, behavioral, doesn't matter. You can practice like mock interviews. Mock interviews are basically, practice interviews with random people. You can practice with random people for free. You just pick a time at which you want to do an interview. The platform matches you with some person who also wants to practice it, and you just do the interview. And I want to say that system design interviews are rarely asked. I got asked a system design interview at Bloomberg, and also was asked a system design interview at Palantir, but it's very rare usually. Like I think Google doesn't, for example, Google doesn't ask system design. Is that correct, Anwar? Lukyun?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't ask if you're a fresh grad.
Yeah, but if you're not a fresh grad, like if you're applying for a higher level, like if you're from PhD or have some years of experience and you want to apply for a higher level, then you might have to go through like system interviews. But the rates will be like if you have 5 interviews, the system will be maybe 1 or 2, and the others will be like most algorithm interviews.
Yeah, that's and anyways, the expectation is not the expectation is not very high from interns to perform like super well on system design. Basically, they check if you understand what is system design, if you can. They check if you can find a basic solution to the problem. And for the behavioral interview part, the best preparation is just STAR method. Use the STAR method. This is like the very basic thing, but it really works. At least it worked for me many times. So the STAR method is ACE, like STAR: situation, task, action, result. You describe what was the situation at your workplace. You describe what was the task at hand, like what problem you were solving, what actions you took to solve it, and what results did you get. So this is very basic, and you need to prepare at least 5 questions, answers to 5 questions, and those 5 questions are. So what was the challenge, like the technical challenge you faced, and how did you solve it? Conflict conflict that you had at your workplace and how you resolved it, a fail that occurred on the workplace, like some tasks that you failed to do in time, or any other fail that you managed, and initiative. Like you described a situation where you had to take an initiative, or maybe you were not particularly agreeing with your manager about something, but you still took the initiative and implemented it, and it worked out well. So you show a case of you showing initiative. And I think I said 4, and the 5th is why you want to work at the company which you applied to. These are like 5 basic questions that you definitely need to prepare. There are lots of other questions which you can find at this second link. They compiled a list of different behavioral interview questions at like lots of companies. So you definitely want to go through them. I'm sorry for taking this long, but this is like maybe the most important part, like CV and interview preparation part. So we can go on to next slides and next speaker, I think. So whose slide was that?
It's Wolfgang's, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the talks. It was also really helpful for me. So for me, I will first like to talk briefly about what various works that software engineers can do, because like as an undergraduate, I almost had no knowledge, although it is a very general term and a very famous term. I didn't really actually know what actually software engineers do before I had those internships, and then after I had a chance to intern in like a very big company that does a lot of things in software engineering, I was able to be exposed a little bit more about what various opportunities you can have as a software engineer. So I would like to share briefly about that, and then I would also share my personal experience of how I landed to my job. Before I start talking, I would like to note that I'm not like talking on behalf of my company. So there are many people working in that company. I'm just one of the employees have a like one single candidate experience. So just please keep in mind with that. So let me first start with the introduction of what software engineers do. So like you might, most of you probably know what actually software engineer is, and you might have also heard a lot of times about it. But at least for me, as a very young student in an undergraduate, like a junior year, I thought like software engineering is a term that who work on B2C production, like someone who builds like Facebook app, something like that. I think that's all like software engineering do, but actually that is not true. There are many opportunities, and there are many types of software engineers that are doing a lot of jobs in there. So even if your interest is not something that building some products that are like meeting people, they're used by people, there are many things you can do as a software engineer. Like for example, one typical example can be a research software engineer. Like even if you have a PhD and you apply for, like for example, a research PA in Google, then if you have a software engineering background, then your job title will be a software engineer in that research PA, and you do the research with the research scientist, but also you do there are many software engineer required jobs in research as well, and you do that job with as a software engineer and conduct the research. And also there is a term like SRE, site reliability engineer. So So companies that are really, really big, like Google, Apple, really Google, Apple, Facebook, really, really big companies, they require their own infrastructure to maintain the company itself, and site reliability engineers build those infrastructures for the company itself, for the software engineers of the company itself. So it's kind of software engineer for software engineers. So if you're interested in those kind of jobs, then it could also be an opportunity. And there's also a term like developer technology engineer. This term is like commonly used for more hardware related companies like Apple or Nvidia. So this engineer is kind of a skunk group of engineers that they talk with the very important consumers of the hardware or the frameworks the company develops, and they study the use cases and do the kind of a forward-looking engineer jobs that the important consumers or important use cases require for the frameworks or the hardware, so that they can find the next directions of the hardware or the framework. So that's what developer technology engineers do. So other than this, there are millions of roles and opportunities that you can meet as a software engineer. So it's kind of a really big world, and I really strongly recommend you to have a chance to like search for various kind of roles, so you can kind of have more various choices when you choose your job. And also, I would like to share a little bit about what kind of daily work do software engineering do. They didn't just like, also as undergraduate, I thought they all they do is just an implementation of the product they're building, but actually that is not true. First of all, like some of you who have already had internship or job experiences, you might already know, but communication is a very important part for being a software engineer. You have to write the documents that demonstrates well what you want to do and what your design is. And you sometimes have to make a prototype to demonstrate your idea to people, so that you can convince the people that you and also your colleagues' effort that is required to do the implementation is something that is worth to do. So doing those kind of communication is a very important and time-consuming job that you have to do whether you like it or not as a software engineer. And also, of course, the implementation by coding is a very important, probably the most important part of being a software engineer. And also to make your code that is productionizable and reliable, you have to write tests as well. And also you have to deal with lots of issues related to deployment. You have to deal with dependency issues you might have to encounter when you do the deployment job. And also you have to, for the reliability of your code, you also have to go through the code review, and you also have to review others' code, so that the resulting code that you and your team build can be something that is reliable and maybe somehow used in another product or another way in the near future. So this is what the typical work for a software engineering do. What the software engineers do as their daily job. Yeah, so this was a brief introduction of what software engineers do. So yeah, if you have any related questions, then you can ask later in the Q&A session. And secondly, I will also like to share a little bit about my experience on how I landed to my job. So like, unlike other speakers who talk before me, I have almost no experience of computer science when I was in high school. I didn't actually know that that kind of field really exists. So CS 101 Hubo was kind of almost the first experience I have met the computer science and coding. But I found it kind of interesting for me, and I decided my major to as a computer science. So I almost had no information or no experience, so I try to have a lot of experiences related to computer science, so that I can make a better choice in my career. So when I was like second year that winter, I had a first internship at a small smart startup called Level Up. But at that time, I had almost no knowledge about computer science because I had only 1 year of experience in computer science. So I couldn't really do much in that internship, but I was able to see what real world computer programmers do in the industry. So I was able to like have more interest in what computer scientists in uh, in industry do. And I also found myself that I'm more interested in things that can be deployed directly and to the world in a short time. Like research is really a cool thing. It's a fancy thing, but in order for your work to like see the light of the world and actually to deliver benefits to people, it kind of requires a lot of time for your like research work to actually productionize to the world. But if you're in the industry, then the thing you participate in, like it can bring the benefits to the world like in a relatively short time. So I kind of found myself more motivated in those kind of fields. So I started to think my career as more in a way to be in industry. So I searched for like internship experiences in company, and I figured out that there is Google is kind of hosting a development camp. It's called DWG. I think they're not doing that for now, maybe due to the pandemic. I'm not sure about the specific reason, but they're not doing it now. But at that time, there was a software camp, and I was able to know that, oh, there is actually a chance for you to have a internship in Google. Before that, I didn't really actually. I knew that there is a like job position, but I really didn't think that it could be something that can be for me. But after that software camp and meet Googlers, I was able to see that, oh, there maybe it could be a reality to me as well. So like Anwar and Azra and Vivan, did I pronounce your names correctly? Said, I did some I did hard to do the preparation for the interview, and I applied for the internship, and so I had a chance to do the intern at 2019 summer. And it was my first experience to be in a very big company that do software engineering at a very large scale. And I was really impressed at how they manage the really big code base and how they collaborate in an effective way. And I was really impressed by that. And I also before that, I thought that like maybe if I go to a company and then I won't be able to do a very innovative job if I go into a very big company. But actually, after that internship experience, the thought has kind of changed, because in those even if you are in the company, there could be a lot of ways to collaborate with people that are doing really, really innovative things, and you can really collaborate close with those people and communicate directly with those people, and also contribute to some jobs or projects that are doing really, really challenging and innovative things. So I also work closely with people, with a person who is in research PA, and it was a really interesting and very exciting experience there. So I kind of decided that this could be a good way for a career. And then after the internship has ended, I kind of took more courses in KAIST, and I found myself very interested in visual computing, and maybe like for at least for Google Korea, there are not many teams in there. So and if you apply as a university graduate, it's very highly likely for you to first join a search team. Well, it's not for all the cases, but that's where most of the headcount is open for university graduates. So as a person who want to work as in a visual computing field, I thought maybe I should look for another way. But anyway, I did the returning internship next year as well, and that was also a good experience. But I also had to think hard for like what should I do for my career, and also pandemic came, so the recruiter said, like, even if you pass the hiring committee from your internship like evaluation, there might be like no headcounts for that we can give you right now, so you might have to wait. So I was kind of like in the clouds, that it was really unclear, will there be a headcount until my hiring committee pass expires or thing like that. So I also as a person who want to like work in visual computing related field, I also applied to NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is also company that does a lot of visual computing related projects. And although the role was not actually really the visual graphics or vision role, it was an AI related role that uses GPU as a GPU. But I thought I heard that there is a lot of chances for internal transfer in NVIDIA as well, and also that job seems interesting to me as well. So I also applied that, and then suddenly I was about to be there for quite a long time. I was thinking of that after I got the offer, but in a very short time, I heard that there is a headcount in a camera team that can where I can do some image processing or image quality related work. So I finally decided that I would join there, and that's how I landed here. And so it's kind of so my story was kind of long, but what I want to say is that I strongly recommend to have a lot of experiences in what you want to have in a career, so that you can, even if you kind of like think that you might want to work in another field or have another interest or things like that, you can make a decision with a broader sight. So yeah, my recommendation is to have as much experiences as you can. Yeah, so that's the end of my talk. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rian. We'll now proceed to the frequently asked questions that were mostly asked in the Google Forms by you guys, the Google Forms that Anwar created, basically. So Anwar will now proceed with the frequently asked questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Thanks to all the speakers, first of all, and I would say to proceed to the frequently asked questions. So I'll just yeah, also speakers be ready to maybe answer some questions as well. So like the first question was, how can I choose the best company to intern in? And I think that like if you want to look in the long term, then you have to choose the company by your interests. So for example, like if you are like passionate about, I would say like visual computing, as we can say, then it's best that you intern at a company that deals with computer vision and visual computing, so that you can, for example, like gain experience in this field and eventually land a job in this field. Because like if it just snowballs and the experience just snowballs, and for example, if you get experience in backend engineering, and then you say it like, oh, I want to do like front-end engineering, and it's kind of like related, but still like usually jobs like when you go to the full-time job, it will be more favorable if you do the relevant experience, if you have a relevant experience. So Azret, are you here?
Azrat, can you
Just a second? Okay. While he's not here, I can proceed to the next question. Maybe what to do during summer break if you didn't land an internship? So like it's actually was also one of the things that I experienced in the university. So of course, like sometimes you don't like always go with a 100 success rate, especially when applying to internships. So like one time I did was just like I just go to the vacation to my hometown and just relaxed. And yeah, I just think that like the most important piece of advice here is just to relax, because after all, when you graduate, you won't get like 5 months of vacation for the year like you do in KAIST. And I would say that appreciate the time in the university and try to work on yourself in your free time. Yeah,
So
I think like Azret has similar answers.
What to do during summer break if you don't have an internship? Yeah, try to prepare for your interviews, learn technology practice. I mean, not much to say here, but for the best how can I choose the best company to intern in? So I'll just restate my part, which is there are actually engineering blocks, like big companies, or maybe like some good companies, even mid-sized companies. They have their engineering blogs where they describe what kind of problems they solved on the back end or on the front end, and with the databases, and how they scaled their infrastructures and stuff. So you can read about you can read about their engineering blogs to decide if the kind of problems they solve actually interest you. At first, like when you don't have any experience, you just don't know what kind of problems you want to solve, and you just you don't have any idea. You go anywhere you want. I mean, you go anywhere just to gain experience. But at some point, you start to be biased, or you develop your own preferences. So it's good if you research about the products that company makes, engineering blogs. If you like, for example, if you don't if you want to work at a company which builds products that are impactful for society, let's say, maybe you like your choices will differ from what you have applied to previously. So try to research a lot about the companies. Usually their website is sufficient for them. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's keep it short. Just like for example, importance of certifications. I would say that they are not important because usually they are just like some indicative that you have passed some like course or like some test, and I don't know, like I haven't used them, and I don't think I will, because like they are rarely asked. Maybe some companies like MongoDB or Amazon would ask for them, but even without them, you can pass easily. Like, okay, let's next slide. Oh, by the way, like Wuhyun and B1, if you have something to add, you can just like chip in into this voice channel and just say your opinion as well. What activity in coach do you think really contributed to you getting recruited by recruiters? So I would say that network. Yeah, as I said, networking is very important because like you can be referred and you can like learn about different opportunities as well. My previous experience helps a lot. Also, I also heard from some of my sources that coding competition can mark you that you're capable of passing the interview. That's why you are likely to be invited. What activity in college do you think
I think like
really
this is
contribute?
yeah, actually like this is like the question exactly the same as you are, but the reason I'm repeating this is because for machine learning position it's kind of like a little bit different, like from the usual software engineering. And yeah, I would like to pinpoint like the difference here, like because like in the industry field, like most of the machine learning techniques are still being researched on. Like so, like actually nobody, not saying nobody, yeah, maybe like almost nobody actually knows like the solution like towards every single towards like it for yeah the solution that can work in all of the problems. And so like if you have like a research experience in machine learning, like it will really helps to leverage your resume. And yeah, be it like the project from course or from the research duty, like at the time like my research duty while I was a graduate student, like it actually helps to leverage my resume, like so that like the recruiter is having much more confidence in me, something like that. And then like another alternative is to join some hackathon, like yeah, but at the time I think like I was not really into this hackathon, so because I think like I was having lack of information, but I heard that there are lots of hackathon happening in this world, like either in software engineering or in data science, both of them, like you can use that. Because like for the software engineering hackathon, like that means you can code and you can make a production level implementation, which is very beneficial for the company, of course. And data science like means like you can utilize machine learning model that you have learned into the company level purpose, which is also good. Although like I think like the best way like to actually leverage your CV is to have an internship experience still. Even though like I didn't have internship experience while I was applying for a job, but I reckon that this is extremely important. And so like while you are still a student, I think like it's very important to have an internship experience, be it like software engineering or yeah, maybe a data science intern. Like it's yeah, even data science intern, I think like it will be very, very much relevant to if you want to be serious in machine learning field. Yeah. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Also like this is, yeah, I think like some people actually asked me like previously, like, yeah, the truth, like the Q&A form that is made for this purpose, or asking me directly, like, what is the pros and cons of attending grad school right after undergrad in CS? Like, is it better to continue, or is it like better to get a job immediately? My short answer is actually it depends on what you want to do, like after you graduate. You want to do research or you want to go to industry? Like that's actually, I think, like the question you need to ask to yourself first, like before deciding whether to go for grad school or go for job. And yeah, I can say, like from my experience in machine learning engineer, like both research experience, internship experience, they have an equal weight, meaning that uh, it doesn't really matter like which path you choose. Both of them will help you at the end. However, like uh, for me, like say, like I was going into grad school, specialized in machine learning, and yeah, now like whenever I try to apply for any job, like I think my choice will be just limited into machine learning field, like machine learning engineer, machine learning scientist, data science, something like that. Yeah, I can say that attending grad school, like if you eventually want to go to industry, it's actually close more doors than it opens. So yeah, you need to think like really carefully about this before you decide. But yeah, I think like on the lighter note, if you attend it only until master, like there's still like lots of opportunities that may be open to you, because many companies like will still find you fit enough for the industry job, like by meaning like doing software engineering stuff, like front end, back end, something like that. If you have master degree, like you will still be recognized. But if you have PhD, yeah, your choice of jobs like will be mainly about research. I think like yeah, even though there are some software engineering jobs that require PhD, let's say like machine learning engineer in Google, but I'm not really sure like why they require PhD, but I think like it's because they also want to innovate or something like that. So the software engineer over there, like not only doing the usual software engineering stuffs, but also like they need to kind of innovate. They kind of need to research also, something like that. Yeah, next. Yeah, yeah. Some people also ask me like, yeah, the core skills needed in machine learning. It depends again. But this one, like, I specialize my answer like for machine learning engineer, because I think for the machine learning scientists, uh, all of you like high students, I already know like the answer for that, like which is like to attend the course and then like to go into lab experience. I think like that's kind of like common thing in KAIST. For machine learning engineer, like most of the times you are actually in, yeah, most of the times like, it's actually like not in building the model, but it's actually like it's kind of like doing the data engineering, because like the data is quite dirty, and so like you need to kind of pre-process, you need to filter out like the data that you don't need, something like that. So yeah, on top of your machine learning knowledge and experience, I think some experience in the data engineering like Hadoop, Spark may be proven beneficial for you later on. And yeah, and next, like, yeah, I think like, no, still previous slides. Yeah, some people like ask me like if I can refer like for a job, like in my company. Actually, like lots of people like is very willing to refer. I think like as Azrat has presented, like actually like it's kind of like, wait, is it Azrat or Anwar? Like, okay, like either one of you.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so basically like, yeah, for us, like if we refer you like and you got accepted and then like you pass the probation period, then we get money as well. Like, and the amount of money like is actually like quite big, like, but yeah, I cannot reveal like here. But yeah, like actually like referral will get like some commission like for getting you inside the company. But something that annoys me sometimes is that usually like they don't really see like the job description that they are interested to. Like some of them like even ask me like, is there any vacancy in Shopee? Even after I give them like the link, they still ask like, what do you think is the job that is suitable for me, like given my CV, something like that. I think like it's kind of like it's your job like to actually find it yourself. um like searching for the job that you think like is interests you the most, something like that. Yeah, I think like that's from me and Anwar.
Yeah, I think we have like some information about referrals on this link that I have provided, but I think it's a bit outdated. So yeah, definitely we need to establish some kind of like alumni network to, yeah, or you can like find them on LinkedIn and ask them for referral.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I think me first or you first, Anwar, for this.
it's yours, the first part.
Okay. Yeah. Some people also ask me like about actually like asking in this platform like job opportunities after doing Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Yeah, actually there are lots of opportunities for bachelor for undergrad graduation like from KAIST, especially like because everybody like in the company like already knows KAIST as one of the top universities in the world. And yeah, but the thing is like you need to search for it like in the right place at the right time and set a bit of luck. Why I said a bit of luck? Let's say like you are really highly qualified for the position, but then like the company like yeah, let's say like because of COVID they freeze the hiring, and so like even though like you are highly qualified, you cannot enter, you cannot get in. So yeah, I think like the bit of luck like is kind of like play a bit, yeah, like a little role in that. So like of course I think like the right moment is kind of like being on the right place at the right time, meaning that like let's say you find it like finding a job very difficult in Korea because you cannot speak Korean. Yeah, so search for another country then. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Anwar.
Yeah, so here are just some good resources that we have compiled. Basically, you can just maybe after the talk, we can give you a PDF version of this presentation, and you can just click on them and basically explore what's in here. Yeah, so yeah, we are now ready for the Q&A session where you can ask us question in real time.
All right. Thank you so much, Bevan, Huion, Azrat, and Anwar for such a detailed session. And we will now proceed to the Q&A session. The host has enabled you to unmute yourselves, and you may ask the questions directly to the speakers, or you may just type your questions in the chat, and they will try their best to answer your questions to the best of their knowledge. All right. Thank you so much, and you may proceed with the questions.
Do you have questions, guys? What was the second website for finding internships? I guess you're talking about AngelList. So like there's like a lot of websites actually to find internships. I think there's also like intern.supply. I guess, yeah, it's wanted. Yeah, there's also intern.supply, but it's for US based companies.
All right. Further questions, if any?
You can unmute yourself and ask them in voice chat. Okay. Okay. So it's B1. I think it's your turn to answer this question.
Countries to pursue master in 4DS or machine learning. Actually, I think like everywhere like it's okay. Like because like it depends like on what your purpose is. Like if your purpose is for industry, I think like masters anywhere, like as long as it's kind of like a good reputed university, it will be good for you. Like I mean like not necessarily like in the top 10 like MIT, Stanford, something like that, but I think yeah, even like maybe I don't know, like yeah, I will say like Singapore, maybe like they have like a really good master degree here. And also like the thing for NUS is that like after I look at how they design the curriculum, something like that, I think like they prepare the students for industry, like somehow like not really into research. So I think like it's kind of like very good, like if you want to try master in here. But yeah, I think like doing master in KAIST is also like good thing. Yeah, even me, like I did master in KAIST, and yeah, now I get a job, like a decent job. So yeah. Okay.
All right. So there's another question. It said, did you guys do internships during the semesters? I think the KAIST workload is very heavy.
No, we as Azret answered, we don't because
Yeah,
like
it's possible to do them if you, of course, if you manage the KAIST workload. But I personally would advise not to. But if you are feeling very effective, I mean, of course you can.
All right. Thank you, Azrael, for the question.
Our friend did that. Our friend from Kazakhstan, he worked at some Dejon company part time. So it's definitely possible. I'm just
no, it's actually if you attend the lectures, then I think it's not possible to do it. So if during pandemic, maybe it's a bit questionable, but still, yeah, just don't. Too long didn't it? Just don't.
So they should apply in summers and winters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's B1. It's your maybe. How hard is it to get the email internship?
Okay, first of all, like I have never done any internship in machine learning, so I'm not sure if I can answer this question. But I think for the second one, like I don't think you need to apply for software engineer internship first in order to get into machine learning internship. I think both of them, like even though like both of them are engineering, like they require code implementation, something like that, but the skill set are quite different. Like for machine learning internship, like they require like to know a bit of machine learning knowledge. For software engineer, I think like it's different stuff, right? Yeah. So yeah, my suggestion is that like just pursue for the machine learning internship. Do not need to actually like have some preliminary internship like for this one. Of course, like, if you have like previous internship, it will be much easier for you like to get into another one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So Jonathan asked the question, what is the bare minimum knowledge required to go for an internship? I think Hui Yon already answered that question. What's the bare minimum? When she said that about
Maybe
that
you can just elaborate on that answer if you want. Yeah.
do you want to re-answer that, Hui Yon? What's the bare minimum requirement to land a CS internship?
So like it will depend on which company and which kind of role that you want. That if that internship is kind of like, for example, a research position at a very big company that requires you some kind of qualification, then you need those qualifications. But for me, for my first internship experience, I didn't actually have much experience other than something that I done in a school club, Sparks. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but that was and a few courses like system programming or data structure or algorithm. A few courses in KAIST was all experiences that I have. Like, but the more experience and knowledge you priorly had before that internship, you can learn more. But you can also learn during that internship too. So yeah, I think there's no like specific like minimum qualification to apply for an internship.
All right. Thank you so much, Julian. And the next question we have, how is the startup environment at KAIST? What do you guys think?
Does it mean that like startup environment in a sense that if you could found a startup, or in a sense that whether there are like startups that can hire you? I think it's the following one.
All right, Anmol, if you're there, can you please elaborate on that question?
So like if about founding the startup, I think like there are actually like KAIST graduates who are founding startups, and there's actually a KAIST startup studio, but frankly speaking, I don't know much about them. I think they have programs, but last time I was there, they were like in Korean, so it might be a bit hard, like if you're just like a newly arrived international student. But like, I would say that you have to research on that one. I think it's possible because like I have some Kazakh friends who did startup not in KAIST but in Korea in general, and are pretty going on still. But you have to like, find this information. You should attend KAIST Startup Studio.
All right. Thank you so much, Anwar. So the next question we have is from Alexander Sharipov. He asked, like, do you have any relevant information or advice about jobs in applied CS fields? For instance, anything bio-related, such as bioinformatics? Have you ever considered it?
I think there's a bio and brain department, so yeah. I mean, like, maybe there are people who know about this more. So the big plus of KAIST is that there are really diverse experts in different fields. So I think, yeah, as you said, it's better to ask them. Like if you are specifically talking about bioinformatics, but CS fields, if you're if you're talking about research, maybe I think like if bioinformatics, if you're talking about research, then like I have friends who, for example, have interned at CERN in Europe, so some applied like machine learning stuff. Maybe you can also look there. I hope that answers the questions.
All right. So Alexander, we will be having like multiple departments presenting really soon on KaiTalks series as well. So be sure to tune in at the Kai headquarters. Okay. And the next question we have is, how did you apply for interns at Google? Which site? Which site did you use? Startup or big company?
Careers.google.com.
So Damiko, I hope that answers your question.
I mean, yeah, like if you're talking about application process, then you can like get the referral from a Google employee, and you can submit up to 3 applications with this referral, and it will be definitely be seen by HR. So, and yeah, so startup or big companies, it depends on you. Usually, like in startups, you have a bigger impact, but like you have to learn it by yourself. Whereas in big companies, you have a mentor, but impact is smaller. But I think like other speakers, for example, Lucian can talk about maybe Google internship and also about startup versus big companies as well.
So for that, in Google, like Google is a really big company that has a very standard software engineering best practice and standard procedure for code reviews. So if you want to go through that process and want to learn more about what is the best practice for software engineering, then like big companies will have that standard process as well. It doesn't just come for Google, like big companies and also in Korea, like Naver or other companies, they have their, I heard from the friend who interned there as well, that they have kind of standard code review process and things like that. For startups, like most of the time they simply don't have time for that. But if you are someone who like to make a big contribution in a real world that is like running a product and a really big impact or challenging impacts in such productions or things like that, then maybe startup can be a better chance for you to make like more visible and bigger impacts.
All right, thank you, Leon.
I definitely agree. And also one last point about Google. So like there's actually there are several internship programs or just programs for students in Google. For example, there's like STEP internship for lower classmen, And there's also, for example, some programs like for girls, especially like women tech makers from Google, and also there's like Go Ahead program. So like the only thing is you need to do is to research a lot, like a lot of programs. And like, for example, Wuhan mentioned the software engineering camp is also one of the programs. So you have to research and like monitor whether these opportunities are present.
All right. Thank you, Anwar. So the next question we have is from Nabila Sindhi. So what she asked is like, do you think your course projects ever helped you in getting an internship?
For me, like for getting an internship at Google, it was mostly for algorithm interviews. So maybe for the algorithm course, it is not actually like big project course like OS or networks, but for getting an offer, for getting an offer from NVIDIA, the one of the courses that I took, it was system for machine learning, and the projects I did there was really helpful to get an offer. So maybe it can count for other like internship opportunities in other companies as well. So in the general term, I think for your software engineering skill and your like kind of knowledge to answer the interview questions, I think the projects in CS courses in KAIST can be very helpful to get a job opportunity, like for internships and full-time for both.
All right. Does any other speaker have something to add to that?
Is this actually I think this was a great answer. So
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uyan. And the next question we have is from Ashad, actually. He says, from a CS perspective, what technical skill set is like most important for landing a job or an opportunity?
I would say communication, because like usually like most people imagine software engineers to be like nerds in the hoodies, like coding by themselves and all this stuff. But actually, like software engineers communicate a lot of time. For example, they do code review, they do design documents, like we can know about that, like in Google, and also they like constant meetings, constant like updates and so on, like tickets, agile, Scrum, and all this stuff. So communication is very important. Maybe like if you know how to code, then communication is the most important skill, I think. It's not, but it's a technical skill. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, I would say there are several. Design, system design, I would say, and then testing. Testing is actually a really
Don't go
good
up.
skill production for industry. Yeah, I would listen to other speakers' opinions.
All right, guys, do you have any technical skill suggestions for Ashad? All right, no skill suggestions. Okay, thank you so much. And the next question we have is from Baiman. I'm sorry if I pronounced your like name wrong. Some students may be successful in chemistry and biology Olympiads. We have a lot of students from IMO, IBO, ICHO. And is it appropriate for them to include that on their resume when applying for a CS internship? That's the question.
I think I can answer like for this regards. Not for internship. Like I mean, like for me, like it's for the full-time job. Like at that time, I included my IMO bronze medal, and apparently, like that really helps in getting through like the interview. Like because like when the interviewer like was looking at my resume, and then like they look at my profile and, oh, Bivan, you got IMO, and then like, yeah, and they suddenly become so excited like to interview with me, and yeah, it makes like the flow of the interview like really smooth. So yeah, IMO, like it's basically mathematics, right? It's likely related to computer science, even though like, it's kind of like have some relation. But I think like having some international Olympiad medals will really help in leveraging your resume. Like, yeah.
Yeah, especially if your resume is like doesn't like doesn't fill all the page, you can, for example, put your achievements, for example, in chemistry or biology, and you can show like recruiters that you are really, I would say, determined to achieve your goals. So it may be like, yeah, a good indicator.
All right. Thank you, Anwar, and thank you, Bevan. So the next question we have is from Brahmi, and like what she says is like, what is the best year in college to start to look for internships? Besides from like, should we start from our freshman year? That's what she asked.
want Azret to answer this question.
Azret, yeah, can you please answer that question again?
Which
Which,
question?
which year is the best year in college to start for look for internship?
What is the best year in college to start looking for internships?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I did my first internship like after my first semester. So like it, you can do internship at any moment in time, of course. I mean, in any semester, but like most people do them after second year, in their third year, but there is no limit because yeah, I did my first internship after my first semester, did my second internship after my second semester, so doesn't really matter.
So okay, yeah, I mean, like in the first 2 years, it will be very hard to do it because they
Yes.
usually look at junior year students because like they can convert them to full time after 1 year. But if you know about internship, because like in my time I didn't know about internship. If you know about internship, then it's a big plus, and you can just apply for your experience, even if you get rejected. I mean, like what it takes.
But the probability of receiving an invitation for interview is much lower. I applied maybe for 100 positions and I only got 1 or 2 interviews. So I mean, junior students get much more interview invitations. So you have to consider that as well.
All right.
You also,
Yeah, and what you can add to that? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
it's all. That's all. Let's go to the next question.
All right. So let's proceed to the next question. So the next question is, I was really concerned as well. Like, I also want to know whether like GPA, you guys like seem really qualified and really good, like all of you. What about GPA? Because like
I want Azret to answer this question as well.
GPA is GPA important to land an internship in startups in Korea? Like, I just want to know generally as well. But like that's yours question because like it's like the skill set you guys have is like insane. Like obviously you guys might have an amazing GPA too. So that's why that concerns like a lot of people in KAIST. People are really concerned with GPA.
Yeah, Azret, can you talk about your
So
experience?
do I answer this question? I have terrible GPA. I never had GPA above 3.0, like never. So I never included my GPA in the CV. So and I got I got one offer to like Skelter Labs in my first semester, and in my second semester I also got an offer to some startup in like Korean startup. It was Crazy Labs, I think, and never had good GPA. Like in my second semester, I had my first semester GPA, which was 2.5 or 2.6, and still got the internship. So maybe it doesn't matter really.
Yeah, just
Maybe
don't
good
drop your-
GPA helps also. Maybe good GPA helps. I don't really know.
usually GPA is asking like financial companies and like conservative companies, as you said, but just don't drop your GPA. That's hard.
All right. Do you have any recommendations for GPA for freshmen or people who are just graduating or something?
I think like it's my personal opinion, but freshmen can just don't care about the GPA because like usually freshmen.
All right. So what I've learned from this question is the skill set is more important. That's what you guys mean, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, maybe
That's-
like you can add something like in here, like
Yeah.
actually like the rule of thumb of GPA is that like if you think that your GPA is good enough, include it in your CV. Otherwise, I just don't include it. I think like that's kind of like the rule of thumb, like for every time you apply for any job or internship, something like that. I think. Yeah. So yeah, like how good like is the standard if being called good of GPA, like it
If
depends.
it is uh, if it is 3.5 or higher included, I heard this opinion. Yes.
Yeah, I think like that's what I always say to everyone who asks me like, should I include my GPA? Just use that standard.
all right.
Just
Well,
FYI, like you are free not to include your GPA in your resume if you would not like to. But when I was in the conversion process, I was they told me to send the transcript. But I personally think that it wasn't kind of a like big point when when the hiring committee made decision, because they think the evaluation within the evaluation that is made by Googlers would be a more important metric. But anyway, they told me to send the transcript.
Then I'll never be able to work in Google. I think.
all right. That was a fun answers. Thank you so much, guys. And the next questions we have is from, like, for example, where can I find hackathons related to fields in CS in Korea or other countries?
Actually, right now, like I'm spets on hackathons, so I can answer this question. And I would say that right now during the pandemic, we don't have hackathons. There are a lot of hackathons online, and you can go to the site. It's called MLH. I just written it, and you can go there and just see what there are online hackathons are going there, because it's the league of hackathons. So they have hackathons from Waterloo, like Turbo Hack. They have a hackathon from MIT, Stanford, and all these universities, and you can like attend them online. Usually they don't like restrict you from doing that. In Korea, we have like Junction X that I have attended, but if you're like really passionate about hackathons as me, you can create hackathon, and I think it's very possible to organize one.
All right. Thank you so much, Anwar. Does anyone have something to add to that? Uyan, Ajay, you have something to add to that? All right. Nothing to add. So the next question is by Sanjar. It's like actually a long question, so I'll try to like summarize it. Sanjar, please correct me if I'm wrong. So just wants to know where I should get started to apply for my first internship, and if there are any internships in Korea without time constraints and without too much experience in Korea.
There are certainly time constraints. It's like, I mean, like, I don't know, like companies. Maybe there are some companies who do like hiring all year round, but usually they have some periods. So just need to monitor it. And about experience.
So,
I think we can-
sorry, I will ask the question once again. Like, getting an internship to top companies is kind of difficult, right? Like in the case of Azerteke, he had an offer from Palantir, and he had a bunch of previous internships, right? So for someone who have no experience of doing internships, where to get started? Like, is there any small companies in Korea to get started with?
Yeah, you need to search for them, and there's actually a program. I don't know like how it operates now. It's called Co-op, where you are matched with where KAIST matches you with employers, and you also receive some kind of a scholarship, I would say, or salary from KAIST as well. And you work there, I think, for 8 weeks, and that I think that's like some of my acquaintances and friends attended this program, and they have acquired their first experience through this program. And maybe like I don't know, maybe other speakers can add to my.
All right. I think there is nothing to add, unfortunately. So the next question we have is from Christina. It's actually for Wooyon. So Wooyon, Christina asked like whether like you mentioned the Google Software Engineering Camp, and she wants to know the exact name of the camp because she was trying to find some information about it online, but didn't manage to find any information about that camp.
It's developed with Google, DWG.
Can you mention it in the chat?
Chat.
All right. Thank you so much, Julian. DWG. All right. Christina, I hope that answers your question. And the next question we have is, what's the environment in Google like for foreigners? I think Anwar and Wuyan can answer that question.
So as a foreigner, I can answer this question. Like in Google Korea, the environment is very friendly actually, and it's very diverse. For example, in my case, like my team was like, although we were like located in Korea, my team was consisting of like one Kazakh, one girl from Taiwan. Our team lead was from Netherlands. Another my two other team leads were from Mexico and from US. So we had a really diverse team in this sense. And I think we also had like one Korean intern more, and also I had actually one Korean buddy in my team. He was also from Skelter Labs, the company that I was interning in, and they all have a great English actually. They even have better English, as you can see, than me. And it's actually our language of communication, because we not only communicate within the office, but we also communicate with other offices. For example, I had to do a meeting with Mountain View office. I had to do a meeting with Israel office. I had to do a meeting with office in China. So like it's really diverse and it's really like friendly, very inclusive.
All right. Wuyan, do you have something to add to that?
I thought it is very inclusive, but I think Anwar's opinion is more important, and if he agrees, then yeah, it is. I think it is safe to believe that it is inclusive.
All right. I think that concludes the Q&A session, and thank you so much, guys, for all the questions. If you have further questions, you may hit up on our email, kisa@kais.ac.kr, or you may message KaiTech on Instagram or Kisa on Instagram, and we'll make sure to get in contact with Devan, Wuyan, Azrat, and Anwar, and hit you up with further questions, with further answers if you need it. All right. So the last question I have from the speakers, is there are a lot of freshmen watching this internship talk, Kai Talk, the very first Kai Talk series. And the most of the questions that were asked from you guys were by freshmen. And so what do you suggest? Why do you think they should go in CS and tech rather than other fields? Because like I remember my first semester, I was super confused on what I should choose, because it's like AE, ME, then you think of IE, and then you think of CS. I don't know. You're just confused. You do not know like what to do.
Yeah, it's actually a great question, because like I think many students are confused, especially like lower classmen. And the thing about this is that what made CS community so like special is because like CS is a hot topic right now, first of all, and secondly, we can like maintain our community like through like we have like different opportunities right now regarding CS, and they are more how to say it, entry point is lower, very low, because what you need for CS is just like, for example, computer and just like, yeah, and you can like code, you can do projects, you can see what is it like. For example, in other, I don't know like much about other fields, but I think they might need at least a lab to like experience. I think like all fields are important, so like I actually encourage people to do like something other than CS, because like we need like specialists in like with like related fields. For example, like as mentioned, like biology and informatics, biology and computer science, like bioinformatics, and all this one applied. There's also like I think there's research in physics and like machine learning, I guess. So yeah, I would suggest like people in other departments to like to do this events, to do like to maintain their communities and to kind of and to encourage other people to join the department, because I think it's good that we are talking about tech, but I think like that many people might get more confused by that. Yeah, that's my opinion.
So I just want to ask, like, there's a specific mindset in like every field. For example, there's an analytical mindset or like memory-based mindset. So what kind of mindset do you need for CS? Like, what kind of mindset should we expect from like a student to choose CS as his major? What kind of mindset should he have? Well, how should he think? Like, should he be analytical? Should he be like more problem solving or something? Because for example, if you go towards biology, of course, like most of the time it's like memory, right? Do you have any suggestions on that or anything to say on that?
Yeah, I think I want other speakers' opinion, but I'll just say first. I think that what's really
Repeat the question. I like didn't.
What mindset do you need to have in CS or CS? Whether you need like analytical, mathematical, what mindset do you need?
Um, if you are going to work in software engineering, there is like, there is a lot of soft skills as well, aside from just software engineering. I mean, coding part. The coding part is maybe the easy part. Like you just have to have really good research skills, like googling a lot and just using. You have to know like just good foundational knowledge of no backend or front end or whatever the like the field you are working in. You just have to have good background knowledge, and you will be able to figure out a lot on your own. Like if you have good research skills, you even can like progress a lot in your career just by researching a lot and not I wouldn't say you have to have like super analytical skills or mathematical skills because you don't use that much mathematics or analytics in
You can improve them.
engineering.
I mean, you can improve them. It's not fixed. So, I mean, you can improve them. They are not fixed.
Yes, yes, definitely. And you have to know how to work with people because senior software engineers or staff software engineers, they are senior because they have to lead the teams. Like they have to technically lead the teams of different sizes. So, and they have to communicate their work, across other teams. So you have to have good soft skills, and this is what you will be focusing more as you progress through your career. Like in couple of years you will have enough knowledge to keep up technically, but you will have to learn more like not the managing side but working with people side.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. And I think that concludes the session. It was a very productive and very interactive session. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I hope the speakers enjoyed it as well. And I guess that concludes the Kai Talk Series 1. We hope to see you in the next series really soon. And thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.